Hey, Pretty Girl Club. I want to address the accusations that Meg Thee Stallion is skin bleaching. So I noticed that this happens anytime you have a lighter complexion. First, people were coming into my comment section saying Meg Thee Stallion's not light skinned, she's a dark skinned black woman. But I've noticed that the black community does this thing where they will approximate themselves to you, they will live vicariously through you, they will pretend like you are a brown skinned, unambiguous woman like Chloe and Halle. And then as soon as you get super famous, then suddenly people want to admit the truth, which is, oh, wait, actually, she didn't look like me this whole time. And now she's light skinned and she is bleaching her skin, or she's only where she is because of light skin privilege. And I actually love when people bring up the topic of bleaching because I've seen a lot of unambiguous women trying to make this talking point that nobody wants to be light skinned. You guys age badly. You don't have any melanin. You guys age like spoiled milk. You guys look horrible. And then they'll call us Thomas the Train and stuff like that. I've seen that multiple times. So they'll say all of these comments about how nobody wants to be light skinned, but my way that I refute that is I bring up the multi-billion-dollar bleaching industry. So how is it that nobody wants to be light skinned, yet we have a multi-billion-dollar industry where people are lightening their skin? And by the way, I'm not shaming anybody because you guys know how I feel about this. I have controversial views on beauty enhancements. I believe that it's your body. You can do whatever you want with it. So I don't care about bleachers and tanners. I don't think either of them is wrong. But I do think it's disingenuous, though, when people act like bleaching is not a thing, or when they act like your skin getting lighter is not a thing. So whether or not Meg Thee Stallion bleached herself doesn't really matter. What matters is this is her skin tone right now. This is how she looks. And then for those of you who are saying that's not how she looks, she's just editing her photos. Okay, well, she likes the lighter skinned Instagram photo aesthetic. So now how do you feel? So there's nothing you can do or say to convince me that light skin is not beautiful. There's nothing you can do or say to convince me that people don't want to have kind of this golden skin tone. But I wanted to reveal some of the comment foolery. So let's go ahead and get into it. And by the way, I got these comments from Meg Thee Stallion's Instagram. Somebody said, "How did Megan become a light-skinned girl?" Someone else said, "I knew something looked different. Either it's the lighting she is using or she brightens her skin." But again, why do you care about who's light skinned and who's not? Has anybody else noticed that it's usually unambiguous dark skinned black people who are arguing the most about who's light skinned and who's not? They will bring up pictures of you in the winter, spring, summer, and fall to try to prove that you're not light skinned. They will go back and forth. They'll have entire conversations. I've even heard of some people calling friends and family members saying, "Do you think so and so is light skinned?" Because this is how much they pedestalize light skin. They feel like light skin is a trophy to be handed out. And so they don't want light-skinned women to have that trophy because they view light-skinned women as their competition. By the way, I have lived in the South before, and people Meg Thee Stallion shade, they do get called light-skinned, especially men. I've definitely seen men Meg Thee Stallion shade be called light-skinned, but let's look at some more of these comments. This person said, "Shut up, she bleaching her skin, trying to be like B." And it's funny how they say she's bleaching her skin, trying to be like Beyonce, but then they accuse Beyonce of bleaching her skin as well. And have you ever noticed that in the black community, it's okay to want to be darker? In fact, people will try to pressure you, especially if you're light skinned. People will shame you if you want to stay light skinned. They will call you a colorist if you're a light skinned person who wants to maintain your light skin tone. And so people will actually try to shame and bully you into wanting to be darker. I've even had friends say that they want me to sit in the sun, or like I can handle a little bit of extra sun. So they're making these comments like, it's okay to want to be darker, and if you don't want to be darker, then you're colorist. And then they don't keep the same energy for those who are light-skinned, or for those who want to be lighter, or for those who do stay out of the sun, or they stop tanning. So regardless of what Megan is doing, whether she's not in the sun, whether it's her editing, whether it's her lighting, okay, well, she looks lighter in her pictures. Why are you so mad about that? Why are you so obsessed with and fighting over the light-skinned title? It's because you view it as a title. That's why. You view being light-skinned as a crown, and you You want to say that Meg Thee Stallion is not light skinned, that she's a dark skinned, unambiguous black woman because you're clout chasing off Meg Thee Stallion's fame. You're clout chasing off of her image and her beauty, and you're trying to pretend that you look exactly like her when we know damn well the average, unambiguous, monoracial, dark skinned black woman does not have a light brown skin tone. This is another thing. If dark brown skin is dark skinned, how is light brown skin suddenly not light skinned? If you look up the definition of beige in the dictionary, it means a light brown skin tone. If you look up the definition of the word tan in the dictionary, it also means a light brown skin tone. So technically, all of us are brown skinned. Technically, all of us people of color who are not white passing, whether you're black or not, technically we're all brown skinned. And I've noticed sometimes people will also use the term brown skinned to not say light skin. They just don't want to call the person light skin. I've noticed some people have this obsession where they don't want anyone to be lighter than them. And so they don't want to admit that Meg Thee Stallion is lighter than them. And so they will do this thing where they accuse people of bleaching. No matter who you are, no matter how light your skin naturally is, you're automatically going to be accused of bleaching. And people act like it's impossible to tan. People act like it's impossible to be a light-skinned person who can tan to a cocoa shade. They act like it's impossible to want to tan yourself. Like I've seen some women like Toni Braxton and women like that. I've seen women go to tanning salons and they tan their skin because they have a certain event coming up or they want to have a certain look. And so whenever somebody gets lighter, though, people get triggered. Whenever you get lighter and you cross over into kind of this light skin category, that's when people get triggered because the envy kicks in. I've noticed a lot of people have a mindset of, if I can't be light skinned, you can't either. Or they have this thing where they want to call you out for bleaching because they want you to feel ashamed of the fact that you wanted to be light skinned. They want you to feel ashamed of the fact that you found these light or golden skin tones beautiful, but then those people ignore the multi-billion-dollar bleaching industry. You guys pretend like that doesn't exist because you guys will say, nobody wants to be light skinned, nobody wants to look like you, you guys don't even have melanin, your skin ages badly. Okay, well, if it ages so badly, then why are people literally putting mercury on their skin and having all these whelps just so they can attain this skin tone that Meg Thee Stallion has? But this person says, Texas is hot, right? She was darker because of the difference in weather. That's another thing. People act like the weather can't affect your skin. Somebody else said she has never been chocolate. Someone said, everybody's scared to say it, but she looked like Nicki. Someone else says she looks like Nicki in the second picture. Someone else said, looking like Nicki. Nicki Minaj, that's you? Nicki, is that you? So once again, how is it that she looks like a light-skinned woman and she herself is somehow not light-skinned? Whether her skin tone was darker in the past or not doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, let's pull up some pictures of when she was a child. So I'm going to pull up as many pictures as I can find on the internet of when she was a little girl and how her skin tone looked. And so we all know that sometimes babies, you might be born lighter and then like when you're a kid and you're playing in the sun and stuff, you could get darker. But some people want their skin tones to be lighter. Some people want their skin tone to be a golden skin tone. Some people use vitamin C or even bleaching creams or lighting or filters or whatever you're trying to say she's using. Some people do those things so that they can appear light skinned because they themselves find light skin to be beautiful. They themselves find that complexion to look beautiful on them. And I've noticed people get mad because they feel like if you think light skin is pretty, then it means you think dark skin is ugly. And it's like, nobody said that. Meg Thee Stallion never said dark skin is ugly. As a matter of fact, you guys need to be calling out the dark skinned black women who are making videos called, I hate being dark skinned, I hate being black, I hate my 4C hair, because that's the real colorism and texturism, not somebody choosing their skin tone or choosing to control their lighting or choosing to control like wearing sunblock and stuff like that. And this is another thing. People don't owe you their bodies. Stop begging others to be your representation. It looks very pathetic. It looks very cringy. Stop begging women who are lighter than you to be your representation. And then when they benefit from colorism, then suddenly it's, oh, well, you were light-skinned. You only got to where you are because of light-skin privilege. They do this all the time. We start off as, oh, you're just an unambiguous, brown-skinned black woman, just like how they did with Beyonce. Then as soon as Beyonce makes it to the top, then it's, oh, she only got to where she is because of colorism and because she's light-skinned. So which one is it? Are we all brown-skinned, unambiguous black women? Or does colorism exist? Because you guys are arguing back and forth all the time, trying to make it like, you're only 2 shades lighter than me. That doesn't make a difference. Okay, but you don't realize that by saying that, you're basically implying that colorism is not a thing or that it's not that big of a deal when we know damn well that it is. And so you guys actually screw yourselves over, unambiguous black women, you guys screw yourselves over by trying to approximate yourself to a phenotype that's closer to mine, because then we get to have a fluid identity. And I know you guys don't like that, but guess what? It's too late now. We already have it. So that was one social climbing mistake that a lot of you guys made. But then another thing is they get mad when somebody like Meg Thee Stallion chooses to not represent unambiguous dark-skinned black women. So it doesn't matter how her skin is lighter. The fact is, it looks lighter in these photos that I'm showing. And so now what? How you like them apples? Somebody says, low-key looks like Nikki. Thought this was Nikki at first. Thought that was Nikki for a sec. She does look like Nikki. Even though I don't like Nikki, I will say it. When I saw the little clip of this song, I thought Nikki was a feature, and I was shocked until I realized it was just Megan. It's the bangs and the hoops. She looks like a younger Nikki, but she does still look like Megan at the same time. Everyone who denies it just doesn't like Nikki and is in denial, and that's fine. I was kind of in denial also. Exactly. You guys won't admit that Meg Thee Stallion, who you think is beautiful, looks like a light-skinned woman. You won't admit it. You won't admit it. That she looks like women that you try to call ugly, such as Nicki Minaj. Somebody says, so nobody remembers when Megan used to be brown skin? So once again, we have somebody trying to basically say, get back into the brown skin black woman category. But then once again, though, people throw everybody in and out of being brown or brown skin. But have you guys noticed this? Have you noticed how a lot of people will say, nobody wants to look like light skins. Nobody wants to look mixed. Nobody wants their skin to be lighter. Everybody wants to have more melanin. But then when they witness someone getting lighter, then suddenly they are like shaming that person, or, they're trying to call it out. And it's like, okay, which one is it? Do people not want to be light skinned? Do people want to be light skinned? Is light skin attractive? Obviously it is, because if dark skin can be attractive and if white people can be attractive, why is it that suddenly having this golden kind of light brown type of skin tone, why is it that suddenly this is the only skin tone that's unattractive? You're being disingenuous. The majority of bleaching products are sold in African countries where a lot of the people are unambiguous, monoracial, dark-skinned black women. In my opinion, a lot of the unambiguous Africans are not trying to be white like Taylor Swift. A lot of them are trying to be more like Beyonce or something like that. And so that is proof that clearly this skin tone is desirable, just like anybody else's skin tone. Whether you're doing it with lighting, filters, bleaching, vitamin C, I don't care how you do it, but it is a fact that there are people out there who want to be light. And also, let's talk about this, because a lot of darker skinned, unambiguous black women, they will use filters and stuff that make them look hella light skinned. Like I've seen that so many times where I've gone on a girl's Instagram and I'm thinking, oh, she's my color. And the lighting and filters and editing are so incredibly light that I would have never known that she had a deep chocolate skin tone. And if anything, that's more of a common thing that I see happening with darker women, is editing their photos to the extreme. Because like for me, if I try to edit my photo and make it lighter, you won't even be able to see my features. You know what I mean? Like if I make it light, it's just going to wash out my whole entire face. You won't be able to see any definition whatsoever. But I have noticed that a lot of darker skinned black women, they do want to sometimes look lighter or look mixed race or look like a dark-skinned exotical. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how a lot of unambiguous black women, they pretend like dark-skinned mixed women are dark-skinned black women when they're not. Ryan Destiny is mixed. She has a white grandmother. To imply that the average African American has a fully white grandmother is disingenuous. Justine Skye is mixed race. Tatiana Ali is mixed race. All these people that they try to throw in and out of being unambiguous or throw in and out of blackness, these women are not, they don't see themselves the same as unambiguous women, number one, because they don't even have family members that look like, how a lot of unambiguous women's family members look. And then number two, once again, they're doing that thing where they're begging us to be their representation, but then at the same time, they get mad when we replace them, quote unquote. They get mad when we get opportunities, and then as soon as we blow up, then they want to start policing our skin tone, saying, wait a minute, you look lighter. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Like, you're changing yourself. Wait a minute, you got a BBL, you got a nose job. So they want us to admit any sort of beauty enhancements or whatever, and it's because they feel like we owe them our beauty. They feel like it's our duty as exoticals to represent black beauty, and we don't have to do that. Some women, they won't want to do that. Some women are like, hey, I want to rep, the Creole culture, or I want to rep my Indian side, or I want to rep my Native American side. And then people get mad. Well, the only reason that those people are mad is because they were living vicariously through your phenotype. And so then they get mad when you kill the fantasy and they can no longer live vicariously through you. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.